All right, let's dive into an idea that is so huge, it's literally out of this world. You see, the AI boom is creating this massive planet-sized problem. We're running out of power for it. And the solution? Well, it might just be to build a brand new power grid for AI in space.
So, this whole conversation pretty much exploded thanks to this one comment from Elon Musk. He was speaking at Davos and just casually drops this vision of solar-powered AI data centers orbiting the Earth. He said, look, it's all about the sun, tapping into this immense, constant power source that's just sitting right there. And, when Musk talks, the markets tend to listen. And oh boy, did they listen. In just the 2 days after he said that, solar stocks just went on an absolute tear. SolarEdge jumped 5%, and Enphase and Sunrun both shot up 10%. This proved this wasn't just some sci-fi fantasy. His words had a real, immediate financial impact. It was a huge signal that Wall Street is taking this whole space-based power grid idea very, very seriously.
Okay, so here's how we're going to break this whole thing down. First, we'll get into Musk's no-brainer idea. Then, we're going to uncover AI's absolutely massive energy problem, the thing that's forcing billionaires to literally look to the stars. Then we'll meet the other major player in this race, a company called Aetherflux. We'll check out their plan for a Galactic Brain, and finally, we'll zoom out and see how this is all kicking off a brand new space power race. So let's start with Musk's vision. Why on earth did he call powering AI from space a no-brainer? Well, the logic is actually incredibly simple, but the implications? They're nothing short of revolutionary.
The logic is surprisingly simple. Here on Earth, solar power is, well, it's on and off. You've got nighttime, you've got clouds, you've got weather, but in orbit, none of that matters. The sun just becomes this constant, massive source of energy. For AI data centers that have to run around the clock, this is the ultimate power source. It's just a really elegant solution to a very messy problem down here on the ground.
So why is this idea getting so much attention right now? It's because artificial intelligence is facing what you might call an existential threat, a bottleneck that could stop its explosive growth dead in its tracks. So what do you think it is? For the last few years, the entire conversation has been about one thing, but that is changing, and it's changing fast. The biggest thing holding back the future of AI isn't what you probably think. The problem has completely shifted. For years, the bottleneck was getting enough of those super sophisticated chips, the silicon brains of AI. But now, as chip manufacturing is scaling up, a totally new problem is taking center stage. There just isn't enough electricity on the grid to power them all. The constraint has moved from silicon to watts. And here's the thing. Building more power infrastructure on the ground is just too slow. We're talking years of permits, construction, digging up dirt, running miles of power lines. It's basically shackling the lightning-fast pace of technology to the slow, grinding pace of construction. And this physical limit is exactly what makes building in space so incredibly compelling. But Elon Musk isn't the only one who sees this coming. In fact, he's not even the first. There's a much smaller, nimbler company that's been working on this exact problem for years. And believe it or not, they are way ahead.
And that company is Aetherflux. It was founded by Baiju Bhatt, who you might know as one of the co-founders of the trading app Robinhood. And in this real-life David versus Goliath story, Bhatt's company isn't just in the race, they're actually on track to get to orbit first.
And I just love this quote from Bhatt. You can almost hear the mix of, I told you so, and total amusement in his voice. He and his team have been pushing this idea of building a power grid in orbit for 2 years. But it wasn't until a much bigger billionaire said the same thing that the world suddenly went, hey, that's a good idea. And check out this timeline, because this is what makes the race so fascinating. While Musk is talking about launching in a few years, which probably means somewhere between 2027 and 2029, Aetherflux is targeting its first demonstration launch for the summer of 2026. In a race where speed is everything, that is a massive head start. Okay, so what is Aetherflux actually planning to do? This isn't just some vague concept. They have a detailed, multi-stage plan to create something they call the Galactic Brain.
So the core of their whole plan rests on this incredible technology, optical power beaming. And it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. You have satellites that collect solar power up in orbit, they convert it into a super concentrated beam of light, and then they beam that energy down to a receiver on the ground. Aetherflux's first launch is aiming to be the world's first ever demo of this from low Earth orbit. Their roadmap is super ambitious, but it's clear. Step 1, that demo we just talked about. Step 2 is deploying the mini brain, where they'll actually put AI chipsets on small satellites. And then step 3 is scaling up to the kilo brain. These are going to be larger 20 kilowatt class satellites that can host an entire network of GPUs, the real workhorses of AI.
Now, this isn't just a competition between two companies. This is way bigger. This is the start of a new geopolitical race. The quest for energy dominance, which has basically defined global politics for a century, is now moving into the final frontier.
And this is exactly why it matters on a global scale. Bhatt points out that China is already way ahead in energy production here on Earth. As AI becomes more and more critical to national security and the economy, the nation that controls the energy to power it, whether it's on the ground or in orbit, is going to have a major strategic advantage.
So let's just quickly summarize the trade-offs here. Earth-based data centers, they rely on a grid that can be pretty shaky and they take years to build. Their advantage is, hey, we know how to do it. Space-based systems, on the other hand, offer 24/7 solar power and can be deployed in just weeks or months once a satellite is built. Their key advantage is just raw speed and an incredible density of power. And this right here is the ultimate takeaway. While AI is the thing driving this right now, the long-term vision is so much bigger. This is about building the foundational infrastructure for the next era of human expansion. A permanent, reliable power grid in orbit that can power not just AI, but future space stations, manufacturing, and exploration. The whole shebang.
So you really have to ask the question, right? Are we witnessing the start of the next great resource rush? For centuries, nations have fought for control of land and sea and energy here on Earth. And now it looks like that entire competition is moving just a few hundred miles up into the silent vacuum of space. And whoever wins could very well shape the future of technology for decades to come.